Entrepreneur Spotlight on the Weekend Show. Here are the business news headlines. Naira to dollar rate predicted to hit 1,000 naira per dollar by December. House of Reps member Benny La has warned that the dollar rate could rise to hit 1,000 naira by December 2023 if the government doesn't intervene in the foreign exchange market. Benila, who represents Langtang North and South Federal Constituency of Plateau State, gave the warning after moving the motion titled Need to Stabilize Nigeria's Foreign Exchange Rate during plenary. She said the depreciation of the Naira has caused hardship in Nigeria and also affected Nigerian schooling abroad. According to LAR, the Naira has been on a free fall against the US dollar, euro, and pound sterling, despite President Bola Tinubu's promising to ensure that the dollar and the Nigerian currency trade at 200 naira per dollar. On our next headline, a small aircraft crashed on the Oba Akran area of Ikeja, Lagos State on Tuesday. 4 persons, including the pilot, were on board the ill-fated aircraft and were all fortunately rescued alive and taken to a nearby hospital. Surprisingly, this accident occurred 3 years after a helicopter operated by Quorum Aviation dropped from the sky around 12 noon and crashed into a residential building on Salvation Road in the Opebi area of the same Ikeja, killing all 3 persons on board. And finally, on our business news headlines, labor union suspends strike after meeting with the president. The president's spokesman, Dele Alake, said labor movement leaders had agreed to suspend their strike while talks continued, adding that the president had promised that a major oil refinery under rehabilitation in the southern Nigeria would start processing fuel by December, likely reducing the petrol prices after the current scrapping of petrol subsidy, which the unions say have led to soaring costs at a time when Nigerians are already grappling with the highest inflation in nearly 2 decades. Led by union leaders, protesters carrying placards marched in Lagos, the oil-producing state of Bayelsa, in the northern cities of Kano and Kaduna, and in the capital city, Abuja. Marchers broke down a gate to the National Assembly, expecting to be addressed by the Senate President. Union officials handed petitions to the government officials in several states detailing their grievances, which included the fuel subsidy removal, stating that it was a hasty decision made without any sensible plan to cushion the impact on the masses. And that's it for the business news headlines. We have our spotlight guest of the week standing by, Mr. Rufus Idris. Good morning, Mr. Rufus. Welcome to the spotlight.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Now, Mr. Rufus, can you tell us what sparked your interest in agrotech and how your passion has evolved over time?
Thank you so much. Two different angles to this. One side is the supply side and the other is the demand side. Supply side, I'm talking more about the smallholder farmers that produce majority of the food that's been grown in this country. Most times, these farmers struggle and suffer to make ends meet. And this is because today our agricultural sector is one of the most underperforming in the world. We have one of the lowest productivity level, one of the least mechanized. We are also in a space where we're facing a lot of climate change impact, challenging the smallholder farmers. They struggle to be able to access all kind of support that they need, extension services, being able to link their produce to market, being able to access finance, being able to also get other support wraparound services that they need as well. And also we have a lot of them that are already aging and are struggling to keep up with farm operations. And this space is not attractive enough for their younger ones to want to come into the space. If we look at now the demand side, we were struggling as a country, huge population. We can't grow enough food locally to feed ourselves. Food inflation increasing as at March of earlier this year. Food inflation was about 24.4%. And also within that space, households now get to spend more money on buying food. I mean, about 56.4% of our income now is being spent on buying food and feeding ourselves. Meanwhile, we have a huge population of young people. More than half our population are young people below the age of 25. These are people that are very tech savvy, entrepreneurial, that have been innovating different ideas. If you look at what's going on within the finance space, the fintech, the health space, entertainment space, young people are driving those changes there by bringing creativity and their innovation. Unfortunately, in the agricultural space, we're not seeing a lot of that. We're seeing young people coming up with ideas and innovation, but they are struggling to even get it to make ends meet. So this is where the passion lies. We see opportunity on one side, and we see a lot of challenges on the other side. How do we marry the two? How do we bring the opportunities that we see here to solve the pressing problems that we have, making us to have our agricultural sector lock in on the performance? You agree with me since we're a child. I mean, till date, we've heard about Nigeria potential to feed the world, potential to feed everybody, but where are the potentials? How do we unlock that potentials? And that's what the interest of our organization is, to say we need to tap into the power of young people, the power of innovation and technology to change that dynamics and make our agricultural space a thriving one.
Brilliant. Now, Mr. Rufus, in your opinion, what are the most significant challenges that are faced by the agrotech industry as a whole, and how do you think some of these challenges can be overcome?
Yes, quickly, some of the challenges that has been faced is, one, let's start with the innovators themselves that are innovating ideas. It's not easy taking those to market or making it commercially viable because they struggle with financing. The person to take the first interest or the first risk in them to invest in those solutions or ideas that have not been tested before, it's a very challenging one. So the issue of access to capital to launch that is a very big one. And also in terms of capacity building, most of those young innovators design things out of passion. I'm passionate about this. I love to see this. But most times it goes beyond passion. This is business. So how do we ensure that it's commercially viable and the financial model makes sense for sustainability in the long run? Is another area. Then also, they are not producing this innovation or solutions in isolation. It has to be taken to the market to support smallholder farmers. Are the farmers ready? What is the level of digital literacy, or computer literacy, or solution literacy that the farmers have to be able to adopt this innovation? So that also requires a lot of work on either government side, private sector side, development organizations like ourselves side, to build that capacity, the literacy among smallholder farmers to be able to absorb or adopt innovations that are coming that way. And some of the challenges that we see, happening within this space, they've been able to marry that space. It's a big one.
Amazing. So from your perspective, what are some key trends in agrotech that you believe would shape the future of farming and agriculture?
I think the key trend that we're seeing is that, one, more young people need to be encouraged to innovate or support in solutions that can help address the problem that we face today in our food system. So we see that trend going up to increase. For instance, you see how the government has recently declared state of emergency in food security in the country. And one of the mandates of the government is to see how they can get more young people employed or involved in agricultural activities. That's going to shape that space. So young people are not just going to come into this space and do agriculture the way we used to have it in the past. They are looking for more innovative ways, more mechanized farming that they can employ. We see the trend around climate change impact. Last year, we had a huge flood that washed away a lot of farmland in Nigeria. Rice farms were washed away, another kind of maize farm and the likes. And we know what that meant to the country in terms of not being able to meet our food need that we were supposed to produce locally. That will also shape the trend. So a lot of young people now are looking at what are the climate-smart agricultural solutions, either solutions that can help provide weather forecast advisory for smallholder farmers to know what is coming and how to better prepare or adapt to what is coming up. And also, we have solutions that also can look into insurance, insuring farmlands for farmers so that way, if natural occurrence like that happen again, their farmlands are secured and they have more financial resilience to some of those impacts. And many more that will happen within that space. A trend that I see will shape things going forward. And also, the way it stands now, we cannot continue to import food. We look at the disparity between Naira and dollar. It's going to get to a point where it's not going to be economical enough to want to import food into this country. We're going to be forced to invest more and produce more locally so we can feed our growing population. And also, we can have a lot of companies going back into backward integration. That will require a lot of innovation, agri-tech providing solutions for farmers, either providing logistic services, helping farmers to also access credit or link their produce to market or get extension advisories that help them increase their knowledge, are things that will shape that space. Then we talk about wastages. Post-harvest loss in our food system in Nigeria, it's huge. That also will shape the trend to see how can young people start using other alternative energy sources to help address this space, like having solar-powered cold storage system that reduces the cost of burning diesel or energy or generator to service a cold storage system. And that will increase shelf life of our produce that are highly perishable, like tomato and vegetables and the likes. And if you look at the recent government mandate, the new administration now talking about, we rely heavily on rain-fed agriculture. No country still rely on rain-fed agriculture. We have what we call irrigation. So you can produce food all year round. Farmers can make more money. We can have more food produced to help reduce that gap of the local production versus consumption or demand space as well. So a lot of young people also will innovate things in that agri-tech space, either using solar-powered irrigation system, hydro-powered irrigation system, that not rely on diesel or fuel that's currently increasing in the price after subsidy removal, but we can tap into some other free, clean, alternative energy sources that will drive that dynamic. So all the things that I see playing out will surely shape the trend and dynamics that we're seeing within that agri-tech space. So there'll be more opportunity for young people to tap into agriculture to help address problems that we cannot shy away from. We must address if we want to succeed or survive as a country.
Those are very interesting points you've made, Mr. Rufus. Now, while you were speaking, we had some interesting videos of previous AYUTE Africa events playing on the side. Can you tell us more about the AYUTE Africa initiative and everything that revolves around it?
Thank you so much. So, as an organization, Heifer International, it's critically working around the globe for more than 7 years now, trying to address the issue of food and hunger and poverty. In Nigeria, we know that there's a lot of dynamics and opportunity for us to tap into the young population, and also the need to integrate innovation and technology if we must address the current challenges that we face as a country. That way we can reduce how much we rely on imported foods and produce more locally, create that wealth for farmers in the country. And that's where AYUTE was birthed. And AYUTE simply means Africa Youth Technology. How do we marry all together? Youth and young people in Africa, leveraging or helping to support technological solutions that can address problems and pain points of smallholder farmers. So we started this innovation, this activity or this initiative in 2 different ways. One, looking at the growth stage companies that have actually started something. They've implemented that, they've tested it, but they want to scale to make more impact in Africa. That's where we have the regional AYUTE Africa Challenge, where people from all over African countries can compete to get a share from a $1.5 million US grant that we give. And the top 3 winners get to win and share from this fund. And this fund is now used to help grow or scale their innovations to be able to make larger impact. And that also helps catalyze more other investment that they've been struggling to get. But with our own investment, we can now catalyze and crowd in other support to help them scale to where they need to be. Also at the country level, in most of our African countries where we currently operate as an organization, we have what we call the country level AYUTE competition. In Nigeria, in Senegal, in Rwanda, in Ethiopia, in Kenya, and the likes, we do all of this. And that one, it's focusing more on startup companies. They are not at the growth stage, they're just startup, but they have innovative ideas that can address problems in the agricultural space. So they have a chance to compete for a grant prize of around $20,000 US. And that helped them initially to start the idea, put the idea on the ground. But at the same time, they also get some capacity building support to better shape the idea that it's more business and commercially viable. At the same time, they also get mentorship required to do that hand-holding that to ensure that they thrive and they are sustainable in the long run implementing that. And to apply, you basically have to be a young person. You must be between the age of 18 to 35. You must have innovation that actually solve agricultural problems in Nigeria. You must also you must either be the founder or the co-founder of that particular innovation or business. At the same time, you must have been registered with government regulatory agency or incorporated in the country to be able to do that. And you must be a Nigerian. as well to be able to push such innovation through and compete. And we started the competition, last year we had the first edition in 2022. We're currently having another edition that is ongoing now. Application started in July 24th of this year, and it's going to be closing by the 9th of August. That's next week, Wednesday. So young people can still go on there, apply, share their ideas, and compete to win not just the cash prize, but to win capacity building support from us, and also help them to scale and bring their idea to fruition so we can solve pressing needs and problems in the agricultural space of this country.
That's brilliant, Mr. Rufus. Thank you so much for enlightening us more on the AYUTE Africa challenge and the need for improvement on agrotech in our country. Thank you so much for coming on the weekend show. We hope to see more of you on subsequent episodes.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Now, that was Mr. Rufus Idris, Country Director for HEFA International Nigeria. Tell us about the AYUTE Africa event coming up on the 9th of August and giving us the young agricultural enthusiasts in Nigeria an opportunity to compete for a chance to win a share of $20,000 grant. So be sure to visit the website ayute.africa/Nigeria for more information. Also use the hashtag at AYUTE Nigeria 23 to join the trend. Well, that's it for the Entrepreneur Spotlight on the Weekend Show, but stay tuned. We still have many more segments coming up right after the short break. I'm Tenda Chimelu. Don't go anywhere.